Okay, I know that it has been a few weeks, but now I got things figured out. From this point moving forward, I will be dropping one video on or before Wednesday and another video on or before Saturday. So you can expect more content coming very soon. Now today, I've got a little treat for my roguelike fans out there. The roguelike genre in my opinion has a stable layout of games. Risk of Rain has probably been my favorite, but Gunfire Reborn is working towards the crown. You can find it on Steam. It's developed by a company based out of Hong Kong supposedly, and if you can't already tell, the feedback from the community has been outstanding. Now let me tell you about the most exciting aspect of Gunfire. It's 12 bucks. Yes, this game should at least be like $30 ruse, but it's 12 bucks. Rejoice, my dudes. Currently, there are only 2 characters that are in the game upon making this video. However, one of the characters is not playable until level 30. That was the character on the left. I wish they launched with maybe 1 or 2 more, but it is early access and the characters are not what makes the game great. So do not let that turn you off of it. Each playthrough features that standard looter-shooter type formula where you kill enemies and they occasionally drop guns that has varying stats. The stats in this game does a very good job of playing off of each other. It also features 2 to 4 player co-op, but my journey through the game, however, has been almost entirely solo. But I did hop in a couple of times with a friend. After each level, there are chests that you can find upgrades in. These upgrades augment either your primary or your secondary abilities. It can even augment elemental effects that you dish out. There are plenty of other upgrades which can be found in vaults and dropped off of slain enemies. However, from the get-go, you will have access to strictly floor chests. Like many other roguelike games, you play, learn, die, and repeat. This game follows the same procedure, but with a little twist. Upon death, the player will have accumulated points depending on how long they have lasted. These points can be spent on perks that will apply to future endeavors. For example, increased ammo capacity, higher shields, more grenades, access to secret chambers, etc. etc. You will complete 4 levels each playthrough, and upon reaching the 5th, you will be tasked with defeating a boss. Right before the boss room, there is a guaranteed item shop and blacksmith where you can upgrade the damage on your weapons along with reforging certain stacks. From the looks of it, there are 3 bosses in the game currently, and once you defeat the final boss, you will unlock a hard mode. I have yet to beat the 3rd boss, but I have come close. Yes, I realized I'm kinda taking a dump on this guy, but don't worry, it's not nearly this easy on your first few playthroughs. The boss mechanics are pretty well done. Some of them are conditional and others are completely random, and that is a pretty solid formula. After beating the first boss and you are awarded with the loots, you will portal over to Zone 2, which is a wall. The enemies on that side will undoubtedly beat the shit out of you if your firepower is lacking. I failed to mention that every enemy has a weak point. Yes, it's pretty obvious, but hitting a weak point guarantees a critical hit in this game. Most of the time, the weak point is their head, but on occasions it is elsewhere. The important part of me telling you this is that there are 2 stats in this game that works very similarly. Critical Strike and Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot is a stat that you can get on your gun or through scrolls that you find. I didn't do any crazy shit like dig up the exact numbers or anything, but if you ever played Warframe, it seems very similar to their multi-shot stat. So the upgrade points that I mentioned earlier has two uses. After your first death, you can use those points to revive a single time. It takes quite a few points for the revive, so you have to weigh your odds of defeating the next boss with your loadout against what upgrades that you can purchase with the points that you earned this round. There are some pretty strong scrolls that can be obtained that will completely change how you will play the game. This makes each run unique. Penetrating Bullet is the scroll that was just unlocked through an achievement, and it makes it so critical hits apply damage directly to an enemy's health instead of their shield. Some guns in this game has primary and alternate firing methods. The gun that I'm using currently, for example, can be tossed like a stick of dynamite at an enemy. This may seem very weak, but shielded enemies that are immune from the front still takes the blast damage, since it is an area of effect. There are some really oppressive enemies in the game that will run you down and fuck you up. This enemy in particular is a bullet sponge that can do big damage. I am still unaware of what his weak spot is, but I hit it multiple times by lock here. One other thing that I did notice is that my penetrating bullet scroll is not supposed to work on elite enemies and bosses, which it doesn't. However, I personally believe that more enemies should be considered elite, and the current elite enemies should be categorized as bosses. This isn't due to the game being easy or anything, but it seems like it would be a good quality of life change. I thank you guys once again for joining me. If you enjoyed this, please leave a subscription. I'll be working on some pretty exciting content in the coming weeks, so stay tuned and be safe out there. Until next time.